I just want to share with y'all, just some routines that I believe could really help, and also flexibility. I feel like we hear routine and we freak out, but just also flexibility in our daily life. What's up, podcast fam? Welcome back to another episode of the Uniquely Wired podcast. I'm your host, Anani. And on this episode, y'all, I am going to talk to you about routines and flexibility. I want to share some practical strategies for ADHD moms and dads. This is whether you do have an official ADHD diagnosis or you are self diagnosed. That is valid as well, or you just, you know, you really believe that you do have ADHD, you see the signs, um, and so you just have to get your diagnosis, and maybe you are in the path of receiving a diagnosis. I didn't get mine until last year, 2024, and it was definitely a lot to take in, if I'm honest. And you guys can find some of those episodes where I talk more about that. On the last season, season 3 of the podcast, I talk more about, my ADHD diagnosis and just the process and what made me really go for the diagnosis. I just want to share with y'all, just some routines that I believe could really help, and also flexibility. I feel like we hear routine and we freak out, but just also flexibility in our daily life. And let me tell you, one thing I do know is that there is time for everything. Maybe not the same day you can get million things done, obviously, but there's definitely time for everything. I think we just need to find what works for us specifically. So if you've ever tried a routine, only to abandon it after a week because it felt too rigid, overwhelming, or just not sustainable, then this episode is for you. And I have some notes that I'm going to be reading, and some points that I'm going to be sharing with you. You can feel free to take notes of those points. Um, but we're not just talking about routines. We are going to talk about effective, adaptable routines that actually work for ADHDers, okay? Like myself. As ADHD people, we struggle with routines, and, it could feel like a lot. It could just feel like a lot. And so, you might also feel like very trapped, like, oh my gosh, I have to get this done. I have to get this done. And when we just put it like on a checkbox, like, oh, let me just check this off just to check it off, um and we're not doing it with intentionality, then I don't think that's good. I don't think it's healthy. um so I think, I think not having routines can also lead to stress, overwhelming feelings, anxiety, um, and just a consistent, just that constant feeling of always being behind on whatever it is. Like, I always feel behind on laundry. And I feel like that's a very common one for a lot of us. So I know I'm not alone, but I feel very behind on laundry. And that's one of my biggest struggles, believe it or not. Like, laundry is such a big task for me. Like, it might seem like such a small task for many of you that maybe you really enjoy doing it. But like, to me, it's just like, it's such a big task. So, you know, I think the key is in rigid routines. It's structured flexibility. So we need a system that provides guidance without feeling suffocated. Okay. So this means routine frameworks. Okay. So instead of rigid schedules, try that routine framework. Timers and visual reminders. I mean, that's huge for me. Just to keep us on track, right? That just helps me stay on track, make sure that I'm getting what I need to get done. So my dear husband gifted me, and really is for the both of us, the Skylight digital calendar. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with it, but it's very known and very popular. Y'all, when I tell you that thing works, like believe the commercials, believe the ads, because it works 100%. Now, for me, some people put it in their kitchens, some people put it in their, bathrooms. Like I have it in my bedroom, but I have it on my dresser. So my alarm every day goes off at 6 in the morning, right? I get up, I brush my teeth, do what I got to do, right? My normal daily routine. And I have my calendar to go off for every day at 6 a.m. So literally, as soon as my alarm is going off, the calendar is going off, and it just does like a quick like wake up noise, like and it pops up on the screen whatever it is you have placed on the calendar for that specific day. So, like for today, I have my son's ENT follow up appointment. That was already on there. And it was yellow because that's my son's color. So, whenever is anything for my son, it's going to be yellow. Whenever it's anything for my daughter, it's going to be purple. When it's for my husband, it'll be blue. For me, it's pink. So, it's color coded. And I know for me that works. It may not work for you, but like I'm just telling you what's working for me because maybe it could work for you. And so, y'all, it literally goes off and it's just showing me specifically what's happening that exact day. And it's on your phone. So for me, like I cannot schedule appointments while I'm driving or doing a million other things. I try to make sure I set a specific time to be like, you know what? I need to call the doctor and I need to schedule an appointment. And while the person is trying to schedule me for an appointment, I'm like, hold up, let me pull up my Skylight calendar. And I have the app on my phone and I add it on there and I put my color, I color coded with my color or the kid's color, whatever it is. And y'all, it's ready. Like it's ready. And I don't got to worry about it because I know my calendar is going to remind me super early too. So, like, you know, if I wake up and I'm like completely out of it that day, like this time change recently has me all over the place because it'll be 7 o'clock in the morning, but it still feels like 6 o'clock because technically it would have been six. So, like, we lost an hour of sleep because we're moving forward in the spring. Spring is coming, summer is coming. So, it gets darker later on, but it gets lighter later on. So, it's throwing me off. It has thrown me off for sure these past few days, but again, we go back to being reminded, okay, what's happening on this specific day, right? So that's very helpful. Another thing that I want to share with you is practical strategies that actually works, right? So how do we create routines that stick? Routines that you can stick with. So here are 5 ADHD friendly approaches that I want to share with you, that honestly have worked for me and many others in the community. So I really want you to take note of this, okay? Number one is anchor routines to existing habits. So instead of trying to build a complete new routine from scratch, attach it to something you already do. So, for example, if you always make coffee in the morning, use that time to take your vitamins or review the day's priorities. Like, what is it that you got to get done today, right? Because that's early in the morning. And if you want to take your vitamins, I advise you that you put your vitamins right next to your coffee maker, and your brain is going to tell you, oh, you got to take your vitamin. Take your vitamin. Do it. Get it done, right? Um, and that's a very helpful one. Number two is the good, better, best method. So some days we're thriving, other days we're full in survival mode. Okay. So instead of an all or nothing approach, create three versions of a routine. So the good, that's the bare minimum. So that's like brushing your teeth, changing your clothes, feeding your children. Um, then there's the better. That's a step up. So that's also, make breakfast and unload the dishwasher, right? If you have one, or just your sink. And the third one is the best, right? The best. That's the ideal version. So that's like doing morning Bible study, stretching, exercising, whatever it is that you add to your morning routine, full breakfast, house tidying. This allows flexibility while keeping the basics in place. So I'm gonna be honest with you, 9 times out of 10, I am doing the good and better method, like the good and better one, instead of the best. Like it's rare when I hit that best. Like, man, I'm completing all type of tasks within one day that I really wanted to complete. And I'm not saying that never happens because it does. I've had my best days, I've had some really, really productive days, but then I have those good days that I'm like, oh, I feel like I didn't complete it, but I'm giving myself grace because I know there's another day, there's going to be other times that I can get it done. And I also, as a woman of God, as a Christian, I know what the word of God tells me, tomorrow is not promised. And I know that when we hear that, we're like, "Oh my gosh, so then we should be getting all type of things done within one day." No, don't stress yourself out of it because it's not worth it, you know? So I'm just really trying to work on that as well. Trust me, I'm working on it. Number 3 is externalize the routine. Because let me tell you, this ADHD memory, this ADHD brain, y'all, it's just not reliable. This memory up here is not reliable. It's very, very much unreliable. And, keeping a routine in my head won't cut it. I need to have the visual, I need to see it. So, we go use visuals, use those visuals. You need a whiteboard, get you a whiteboard, sis. Okay. I support you, bro. um, I'm trying to direct to both genders here, okay? Because I know some men might feel some type of way if I'm always mentioning women. So listen, for both of y'all, like do it. Get whiteboards, get sticky notes, put it all over the place. Okay, do what you gotta do. Or even a Google Doc, that's where I have my notes now. Set recurring reminders on your phone or alarms. Like I am an alarm girl, okay? I need an alarm for everything that I know I need to complete by a specific time. So that's very important. Try habit stacking apps so that gamify routines. So there are apps out there that you can try. Some of them you really got to pay monthly. And to me, it's just like, look, it's not in my budget. I can't add another bill to my bills. So we're gonna stick with what we got going on and we're gonna make it work. Number 4 is energy based planning instead of time based planning. So instead of saying at 9 a.m., I'll do laundry. Say after I eat breakfast, I'll start laundry. Like that sounds better than giving yourself like a specific time. Oh, 9 o'clock. Because what if you're just making breakfast at 9 o'clock? And now you're like rushing, your alarm is going off, go complete laundry. So you're forgetting about feeding yourself, okay? Giving yourself your time to eat breakfast because you gotta go and rush and get laundry done. Don't do that to yourself. Um, Pay attention to when your energy levels are naturally higher or lower and schedule tasks accordingly. So, maybe the morning is good for high energy task, evening for low effort task. So, like for me, it's also like, well, especially for women, when we are in our menstrual, in our time of the month, sorry guys, but when you're in your time of the month, like, listen, we are just in pain, we're cramping, like we're moody. We ain't got time to do anything at all. So, guess what? Don't do it. Don't do it. That's why not setting a specific time during the day is good for you. Like don't do it. Just don't. Um so that's a very important one. I feel like I have most of my energy midday, which is a tough one because I'm leaving around midday to go pick up my daughter from school. So it's kind of like I've had to force myself to get a lot of things done in the morning time before I know I have to leave. Excuse me, before I know I have to leave to pick her up from school. And then I have my son at home, which, I'm still homeschooling him. Soon he'll start at his sister's school. So thank God for that. But, in the meantime, I've had to adjust literally my schedule because my son is home and his therapist come over. So it's just very important. And number 5 is a plan for interruptions and transitions. Like, be realistic with yourself. Things are going to happen. And as special needs moms, as autism moms, we know that routines get interrupted. They just do. They get interrupted. Your plans get interrupted. A meltdown, a last minute IEP call, a sensory, overload moment. So instead of feeling defeated, in build in buffer time and transition steps. So have a reset ritual. So deep breath, a short walk, or a quick prayer, whatever works for you to shift back into the routine after interruptions. I am huge with prayer. And listen, I'm always in contact with God. I'm always, connected to the Lord. So I'm just staying in prayer. I'm staying prayed up. I'm making sure God is guiding me in everything I do. And that's it. That just gives me a lot of peace. Listening to worship music, reading my Bible, like reading, faith-based books, staying connected with community. Like it's just important that you do something in that matter to just make your life go better and just feel more at ease. And give yourself transition time. So between tasks, that way you don't feel rushed. Give yourself those transition time. It is very, very important. Um, Now I want to share with you, real life example of a flexible routine. So let me just share with you a little bit, right? As an ADHD woman myself with two autistic kids, right? So a good day is wake up, drink water, get the kids ready, give them, a quick breakfast, review top 3 priorities. And then a better day will be morning devotional while kids eat, get dressed, and prep for homeschool, start laundry, right? That's a better day. And then you got the best day. That's stretching, getting a nice 5-minute workout done. Okay. I'm not like a full 1 hour, 2 hour workout person. Look, I'm good with 15 minutes to 30 minutes. I'm good. But let's say 5 minutes, prayer, full breakfast with supplements, kids do morning activities while I tidy up. Like that's like the best day, right? That will be a best day. But you know what? 9 times out of 10, it's a good day, like I said before. So that's just my routine, my morning routine, and what it looks like as an ADHD woman with two autistic kids. So, by having this flexible structure, um, I just like I can adjust um based on the day's atmosphere and just the needs without feeling like I failed if everything doesn't go as planned. Like I've tried my best. And I always try to tell myself that like you are trying your best. If that's all you could do, that's all you could do. And I tell my husband like when I can't do dinner and he is just the most understanding man. I'm telling you guys like God really blessed me with my husband and shout out to him. And like I said before, he's going to be on the podcast this season and I'm super hype about that. But like when I tell y'all, he is just my man, my man, my man. Okay. I just got to brag about him real quick because I feel like I don't brag about my husband a lot, but I just got to. But y'all, he is so understanding. He is not a picky guy. So, like, he doesn't tell me, oh, you need to cook this on this day. Or, like, I don't like that, honey. So, you're going to have to change dinner. And some men could be like that, but my husband is not. He's not. He is very easygoing. If I tell him, like, babe, I thought I was going to be able to do dinner tonight, but I really can't for XY reason, like, he is so understanding. And he's like, it's cool. Do you want to order? Do you, if you want, I could just make myself a sandwich. Like, he just finds ways to make life easier for me. And that just means so much to me because I know that that's not everybody's life. I know that's not everybody's case, but like to me, I have to say I'm blessed. I'm blessed. It's a blessing to have a man like my husband by my side because he just understands me so well. He really does. And I've mentioned before, my husband is self-diagnosed autistic. He just know that he is after, not just seeing our kids getting a diagnosis and relating so much to their autism, but like doing his own research. He's like, man, like I definitely am autistic. He just feels like, he's 40. He's like, I don't have time to go through this whole like diagnosis process. Like I know I'm self-diagnosed, and that's valid. Like I said in the beginning of this podcast, y'all, if you are self-diagnosed ADHD, like that's valid 100%. So, don't ever feel like that's not enough or you need like an official doctor note to state that you do, have ADHD or are autistic. So, my husband, like, that's why I'm so excited to have him on the podcast because I feel like we're similar and we're so different at the same time. Like, we have similarities, but we have so much differences, and somehow we just make it work together. And it's so beautiful to see, honestly. So, we are a neurodivergent family. I have ADHD, my husband's autistic, two autistic kids. So, like, you can only imagine all the things that we got to deal with on a daily basis, not just with our personalities, but with what we need accommodation with. Like, I know what works for my husband and what doesn't work. I know what's going to make him comfortable and what's going to make him uncomfortable. And so, you know, I just want to say, like, give yourself grace. It is so important. So, if routines feel so much for you and like such a big task, you know, it doesn't have to feel like a cage. Like, routines do not have to feel like a cage. And, they can really be a safety net. Like, I feel like for me, routines have become a safety net. And now I'm kind of like, yeah, I can't do that. I got to get this done. Because that's also not because you want to check the box, but because you are prioritizing what's important. Priorities, what need to be done. And I've learned to say no to a lot of things because I'm like, no, I can't do that. Like, this is more important. I have to complete laundry. Like, I know um this past Saturday, we were going to go visit my daughter's godparents. We haven't seen them in about almost a year, I want to say. And so we were very excited to go visit them. But at the same time, I had to tell myself, listen, you have something going on every single Saturday for the next few months. Like, you need to complete laundry. You need to prioritize this. And so it was a self check moment. I was like, you know what? That can wait. We can visit them any other day. I have to get this done because it's the only Saturday in the moment that I have, you know, to do this. Because I have so many engagements coming up in the next few weekends. So, the key is grace, flexibility, and self awareness. That's what I put on my notes: grace, flexibility, and self awareness. So I really want you, if you take anything out of this episode, I really want you to keep those three things in mind. Give yourself grace, flexibility, and self awareness. Important, okay? I just felt like I was so over the mic. I'm so sorry, y'all. Um, so, and start small and also adjust as needed and celebrate progress over perfection. Like, man, I get so excited when I finally, like, I think it was Sunday, I was doing laundry after church, and technically that's like our rest day, but it's also our reset day. So because we do the first service at church, I was like, okay, perfect, I have the entire day to do what I got to do. So the most that we will do is like go eat somewhere, but we've been strictly sticking to that. Like, look, we'll go to church, we'll eat something, and if we're going to go out eat, go eat, come back home and focus on resetting and getting ready for the week. If we need to run to Whole Foods to get some things for the week, do that. That's just what works for us, you guys. Some people, I know, they food shop for the entire month. That's my mom. Like, she food shops for the entire month. I don't. I literally go every week. And that's just what works for us, honestly. Plus financially too. So I would love to know, and you can leave this in the reviews below, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can leave it in the comments below. But what's one routine strategy that has worked for you? Like, let me know what has worked for you, because maybe I can try it too. um, and see if it helps me. But I'm just so excited. And if you really enjoyed this episode and you will love more episodes like this, just talking more, because I really want to bring more, talk more about ADHD on this podcast for sure. But of course, autism. But yeah, if you really enjoyed this episode and you're listening on a digital platform such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a review. It just really helps bump the podcast up and take it out there in the world. And also, if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And I'm going to leave my social media platforms below. I have the podcast Instagram, but I also have my personal Instagram where I create, do content. I've been trying to keep up with it daily, but I would say weekly. And also, guys, good news. The podcast is going to be releasing every Friday now, like it used to in the beginning. I know I had it for like every other Friday at some point, but we're back to every Friday. Okay, so stay tuned because we have some amazing episodes coming up, and I'm just so excited. So thank you again for tuning in.